Hello everybody, the Lawn Gnome is here. Game over, man. Game over.
Yeah, Hollywood, you know I love you more than what I should. Yeah, Hollywood, well kiss me good. Yeah, Hollywood, you know I love you more.
So in the first of the November releases, as I had promised you, I went to see the Gavin Hood directed film Ender's Game, based on the ever-popular young adult novel of the same name, and I will say that when I first heard about this movie, I was not interested in the slightest, but there were so many people that were talking about how great this movie was going to look, especially since they were more of the faithfuls to the book. And after the movie came out, there were rave reviews from a film standpoint, from an acting standpoint, so I have to say I was quite interested in seeing it once all of these voices were finally boasting, saying, Ender's Game is a movie to see. And of course, I have to admit, my girlfriend is someone who loves this book and said, you have to see this movie with me, so of course I went to go see it, and they were all right. I really enjoyed this movie. More so from an acting standpoint than from a story standpoint. I mean, the grandeur of the film is phenomenal, especially the training sequences in the film, followed up with a powerful score by Transformers composer Steven Jablonsky. That's really what drives a lot of the movie, especially the action sequences and the emotional sequences. But it's really the actors that really give this movie what it is supposed to be. I mean, you got the veterans in their craft. Harrison Ford has been a big surprise this year, doing this movie and earlier this year being Branch Rickey in 42, and there will be a link to that review of mine below in the box. He did a great job alongside Sir Ben Kingsley, who was also in Iron Man 3, and even though Mr. Kingsley does not show up until 3/4 into the movie, he takes that screen time and puts it all to good use. Very similar to what William Hurt did when he was in A History of Violence with Viggo Mortensen. If you haven't seen that movie, I highly suggest that you check that out, but I don't want to ramble. Viola Davis from The Help. Very interesting to see her in a role like this in the world of science fiction, but then again we had Octavia Spencer in a sitcom just about 2 weeks ago, one that I do intend to review. I'll talk about that in another video coming soon, but really who makes this movie is the lead role, Ender himself, Asa Butterfield. He was in Martin Scorsese's Hugo a few years back, another movie which I do intend to see based on rave reviews that people have mentioned and all of its critical acclaim, but Asa Butterfield just pours his heart and soul into this character, Ender, and if he does not get at least an Oscar nomination nod in this year's coming ceremonies, I would be upset, because I think he's very well deserving, because he really captures what the movie is about. Our emotions, and when we don't necessarily know the true nature of our situation, what it can do to our minds. That's what this movie really is about. It's going deep into the human mind, into the human psyche, being gripped by and being held back by things like fear and in command posts, people just talking down to you, thinking that you're worthless, and how you have to ask questions and prove people wrong, show them that you're more than what they say you are, and sometimes in that process you discover things that you either don't want to know or will regret actually figuring out. And as the movie says, and as it says in the book, once you officially defeat your enemy, you learn to love them in that very same second. And that's what is so moving about Ender's Game. And it's just unlike any of the average science fiction films, even though there are a lot of elements based on science fiction fantasy films from the past and present. There's definitely a sci-fi Harry Potter feel about it because of the schooling, but it's also really impressive to see these young actors alongside these veterans in the business and how they really stand on their own and they really act like they are adults in this movie. So Ender's Game is definitely a winner. I give it 3.5 out of 4. I highly suggest you see it. Who knows if there will be more? Who knows if this will spark a series? You take a look at everything that's happening these days, you never know if this one movie can spawn a whole bunch of others, because apparently a lot of book based, especially in the area of young adult and children's novels. They're all becoming movie sagas now, so who knows what will come in the future with this one too. So that's it, guys, and the question that I want to leave with you today is about Ender's Game. I unfortunately haven't read the books. Now, based on people out there, if you follow me and have read Ender's Game and have seen the movie, let me know your thoughts, because my girlfriend was a reader of the book. She was very satisfied with the movie, even though she knows exactly what the differences were between the film version and the book version. But what are your thoughts? Do you think that it was worthy, and compared to the book, does it stand alone? And what's right with it? What's wrong with it? I am the Lawn Gnome, and remember that actions speak louder than words.